Hello, everybody, and welcome. I'm Natalie. I got that out right. I'm Natalie. This is Scientology Life After a Cult, where we talk about what has the internet buzzing as far as Scientology goes. And I also share my 35 years in Scientology in this organization and what happened when I left with 3 generations of my family. As usual, there is a lot to talk about. Hello to everybody in the chat. Hello to everybody not in the chat. If you're catching this on the replay, make sure you comment along. I want to know what you think about these things. I want to know what your questions are because there's a lot. I have questions. I have so many questions. I would love it and appreciate it if you subscribe to my channel. If you have not already, please do that. And if you like the video as we go along, like it as well. Really helps me out. And I appreciate all the support you guys give me on this channel as we grow it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. If you have a question, if you could put question in all caps before the question and post it in the chat, that would be super helpful as well. I want to thank my moderators for being here today. I think they're absolutely the best. In fact, I'm even sleeping with one of them, and I'm going to let you guess which one. There are links below to the videos that I'm talking about in the description of this video. So definitely you're going to want to check those out. I got them all linked. All right. I think one of the biggest things that we need to talk about, and that's kind of the topic of this video, is let's talk about the ways that Scientology is attempting to suppress free speech, the tactics that they are using to try to discourage or intimidate people into not protesting Scientology. We know that they've been trying to weaponize the police in Hollywood, and they're doing it in other places now. And this is all being exposed live on the internet. And this is a game changer. Yesterday, I did a video, a live stream with Aaron from Growing Up in Scientology. And that was kind of the topic we talked about is the difference today in exposing Scientology and the human rights abuses and the activism that takes place and how that compares to what was done before. Because trust me, you don't got to trust me. Go look it up. There have been so many people who've come forward, have been coming forward with their stories and sharing about Scientology abuses since its inception. For years, there's so many OGs on this topic. And because of those people, more people were able to come out when their stories get out. And there's a definite pattern here of how Scientology responds. And we are going to talk about that. So what happened yesterday, we found out now, Scientology Audit Streets LA, William Good, who's the individual who has really gotten this round of Scientology protests going outside the Hollywood Testing Center. And Jessica PALMADESSA has been like the number 2 person there since this started. She has had over 1 million followers on TikTok. William grew his channel, Scientology Audit Streets LA, very quickly. You can find them both here on YouTube, and I've linked to their channels. Both of them were banned on TikTok. This is huge, big news, especially in Jessica PALMADESSA's case, where she had over 1 million followers. And she's working on getting her page back. It's weird because I'm hearing, I think she said it's a permanent ban. And on top of that, she had another backup channel that didn't even have videos on it, and they banned that one as well. And this is all going to backfire because you know what's going to happen? What's already happening. The internet is talking about this, and they're going to have a lot of questions and be encouraged to join this effort to expose the abuses in Scientology. It's not going to intimidate anybody. It's actually going to fuel the fire for Scientology in the same way that Aaron Smith Levin's arrest, what was it, last Friday now? It feels like it was yesterday, and in some ways it feels like it was a long time ago, but it was just some days ago. In Hollywood, when he was there protesting and he was assaulted and taken into custody by Officer Tim Talman of the LAPD, of which there's many questions now about him and a lot coming out about his connection to Scientology. There's no questioning it. There's no questioning it. It's all out there. So this is, again, just something that's going to backfire on Scientology as it always has. But today, there are so many people live streaming about it. There are so many more that are going to, and there are so many more that are talking about it. Word is getting out. It's very much a hot topic, and it's not going to slow down. It's just going to grow because of Scientology and their culty shenanigans. Now, we're seeing Scientology, the way they try to weaponize the police, the LAPD. It happened in Ventura. I'm going to share more about that. These are all attempts to harass and silence people who are protesting Scientology, as they have a right to do. And like I said, it's all playing out on the internet, and I'm all here for it. Jessica PALMADESSA shared yesterday in a live that 3 different protesters had flat tires, had their tires slashed. And there's a history of this. Now, I guess in all fairness, there's no evidence that says 100% that this is Scientology. But I'm going to share a little story with you. So she shared on the live how she was talking about how there were 3 other protesters who went back to their cars and lo and behold, had flat tires. One of them specifically was really messed up, sounded like maybe it had multiple punctures in it. She didn't get very specific about it. When I left Scientology, one day, I was going to go get some acupuncture to help deal with some of the trauma that I was experiencing in Scientology and in leaving. While I was in there, I had a missed call from a Scientologist, which was very unusual because at that point, I'm pretty sure by then I had been declared a suppressive person in Scientology. And that's when you basically, Scientologists cannot have any communication with you. So I was very curious about why this person would be calling me. And when I had an opportunity to, when I was done, before I left the building, I called this person back and I did not get any kind of a response answer. Never got a call back. Never got a text back. So I thought, well, okay. So I go out to my car. My tire had been slashed on my car. And at first I'm thinking, and this is when, not long, like in the beginning when I left Scientology. And I was thinking, oh, darn it. Like, who would have done that? I mean, I was still pretty naive about some of the things that the ridiculous antics of Scientology. And I want to say, do I have 100% proof that they did this? No, I don't. Was it after a hang up call from a Scientologist? Yes, it was. Was I being vocal about Scientology at that time? Yes, I was. So I go out, I get my, I take my car in, I get the tire fixed and replaced. And even the guys at the tire shop are like, wow, it really looks like somebody just like took a knife to your tire. So I get it fixed, I get it taken care of. Less than a week later, exact same tire, exact same thing, punctured with what looked like a knife, and I had a flat tire again. Coincidence? Maybe. I'm just telling you what happened. What do I think happened? I totally think it was somebody acting on behalf of Scientology. Did it shut me up? No. So this, I'm just sharing that as context for, yeah, I've seen that. I've seen that. That sounds familiar. Other thing that happened yesterday, and I'm going to share a clip of this. Solomon and Jasiah, who are 2 people who are in Hollywood who have been protesting Scientology, were on L. Ron Hubbard Way. And you see the live stream. So you see they're just, in fact, Jasiah was actually just sitting on the sidewalk, and Solomon was nearby. Solomon is a 16-year-old kid, 16, 17 years old, who's been protesting Scientology. Um, I'm going to pull that clip up and show you what happened. Both of them were detained. Both of them were put in handcuffs, but it was caught on video by someone else. There's a channel on YouTube called DOA, Defender of Ants, and because I'm sharing his video, I'm sharing a link to it as well in my description. And he happened to be around the corner. So he comes around the corner and he shares what happened. Now, I'm going to share the video, but I'm going to do it without the audio because there is a hella amount of profanity that he's screaming, and it's a little early in the day for me for that. So let me get my act together here. I don't know. Some of you may have seen this already. And then, there we go. There we go. This is on L. Ron Hubbard Way. This is outside of the Advanced Organization of Los Angeles. And by the way, Aaron over at Growing Up in Scientology, this is where he worked when he was in the C organization. And this is the place that I would go when I was a Scientology public, a Scientology parishioner, to do some of the upper levels in Scientology on the bridge to total freedom. That's where you do these upper levels in California anyways. You can also do them at the Flag Land Base in Clearwater. So this is right outside there in broad daylight on what looks like a beautiful day, not a cloud in the sky there in Los Angeles. All right, so let's check this out. You can see it. Like I said, I muted it because it was a lot of swearing, and rightfully so. I get why he was upset and witnessing this go down. So that is Solomon right there, who's in handcuffs. And on the other side of him is Jasiah, who's another protester. And this is an officer who's talking to DOA, who's the guy who's doing the video. And DOA is basically just letting him have it, telling him that, get this kid out of handcuffs. This is a minor. Why are they being arrested? Where's the crime? What was done? And it didn't seem like the officer was answering any of those questions. And DOA was also yelling to Solomon and to Jasiah to not say anything, to not talk to the police. So they're out there. This is going, this is the door right here. Where you can kind of see the doorway that goes right into the Advanced Organization of Los Angeles. This is on L. Ron Hubbard Way. That's the doorway there. Everything is blocked off with curtains. They've got the windows blocked out. They've been using, this has been a new thing lately with Scientology, where they're not just blocking out the windows, but trying to put reflective things on them so you can't see in at all, because they're actually able to, you can see in the windows for some of these. So they're working extra hard on getting it so that you can't see in there. So this goes on. They're still in cuffs. There was apparently, it was being reported that there was another false call. We can, make an assumption that it was from Scientology to the LAPD that someone had a weapon outside. And of course, this turned out not to be true. Yet here they are, right? Got him in cuffs, got this kid in cuffs. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. At one point he goes, so they do get released, and you can see him, getting released there. But what in the world? What in the world? I do want to say, and I know you guys have talked about this in the chat and the comments too. I don't like that Solomon's hanging out with this guy. So I'm just going to say that. Do not like it at all. And I think that this is my opinion. This is just my opinion. Do with it what you will. I think, Solomon being there and learning about these things and experiencing and exercising his right to protest is great. But at this point, it makes me uncomfortable, especially if he's not with somebody that we know for sure, can help keep an eye on him and all of that. He's I don't like it. I don't like it. I think some of you don't like it either. It was being reported too that Jasiah had a water gun on him. I don't know why. Why would you do that? Especially given the circumstances and, what could potentially happen. It just seems to me like that's just not necessary. I don't know what he intended to do with it. But that is what happened. That is what happened. I couldn't believe it that was happening, especially to Solomon. All right. Let's talk about Ventura. We learned a little bit more about Ventura the other day when I had Diane on my channel. If you guys didn't catch that, you got to go back and catch that video. Diane came forward very bravely. She's never been a Scientologist. She's done some things. She's done some free online courses so that she could help. She thought that Scientology presented themselves as they presented themselves to this interfaith community in Ventura. And really, it was a way for them to infiltrate. And I'm going to share a clip about that too. And Diane had leaked some emails from Scientology to the protesters early on. And that was a huge help. And it's where Scientology was saying they were going to use the internet and use TikTok against the protesters, who they call squirrels. And that's how the name Squirrel Squad came about. Because in Scientology, anyone who's out there talking about Scientology in an unsanctioned way, they call a squirrel. Or if you're practicing Scientology outside of the church and making competition for them, they call that a squirrel. So Diane bravely came forward, and she shared that on my channel the other day, and she's in Ventura. So apparently there was a young lady who was exercising her right to protest Scientology outside of Scientology in Ventura. And her handle's Sassy Star. I've linked to her video in the description of this one. And we're going to share what happened when she's just out there. I do believe she was alone videoing, and cops show up. Quite a few cops show up. So let's see. I'm just going to play the video and then we'll chat about it. We'll chat about it. We're going to talk about it. All right, check it out. Check it out. Hopefully you can hear the audio okay.
Yeah.
This is outside Ventura.
The police are here, you guys. Oh my gosh. The police are here. The police are here, you guys. The police are here. Oh my God, there's 2 people. Hello. Oh my gosh. Oh my God, there's guns. Ah! It's just me. 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 I'm by myself. I don't have nothing.
So she's saying there were guns. Like they pulled guns. She's the only one out there. And you can hear it in her voice, like, oh my gosh, they have guns. And making it clear that it's just her out there, that she doesn't have anything on her.
Oh.
And then they go past. She goes down the street.
They have fucking guns, you guys. Oh my gosh, they have guns.
So she continues to video this from a distance. And there's a couple of police cars. Again, another false call into 911 while one protester is outside videotaping and live streaming. And this is the response. What in the world? This is the kind of thing this is what has people talking about it even more. It's Scientology's response. Because like I keep saying, they get together. They get together and they have meetings to discuss how they should show up today in the most culty way possible. And then they execute these plans and they do this. It's next level. And there is a history. There's a long history of Scientology doing this. But the difference today is it's being live streamed on the internet, and a message news of Scientology Audit Streets LA, Jessica PALMADESSA's TikTok accounts being banned and taken down is spreading like wildfire, and it's only going to make people ask more questions. Why is that? Why were they outside Scientology in the first place? What is it about? It's just going to fuel this movement of exposing Scientology, exposing the abuses that have been happening for decades, really since the inception. So anything you guys can do to get the word out about this, share these videos, support the different SPTV creators. It's so appreciated, because the turning of tides here, the difference today that's different from any other time in the history of trying to expose Scientology is not just the internet, it's live streaming. And the biggest thing is the number of people never in Scientology who are saying, no, 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 this is not okay. These are human rights abuses. We're not going to stand for it. And we're going to share it. We're going to get word out there. We're all going to subscribe to Natalie's channel and like this video, support the channels and get the word out. That's the difference. That's the huge difference. In the past, there have been many people, brave people, who've left Scientology and come forward and shared their stories, many of them going through a huge amount of harassment by Scientology and the private investigators that they sometimes send out. There's so many people now. There's so many people now doing that. There is safety in numbers. And I'm going to keep saying it, how much I appreciate all of you, whether you're from the ex-Scientology community, you're in Scientology, and all of you who've never been in Scientology, your voices, your numbers, that is what we have needed to have a large enough of an impact to bring so much more attention to this so that you can reach out to your elected officials in Congress. It's an election year, and ask them, where do you stand on a hearing looking into Scientology and their tax exempt status? That's a question we need to be asking every elected official, and demand an answer to that question and provide information backing up what we're talking about. There's a ton of it out there. Me and Taz, exactly. The movement is coming full circle. This is different from any other time before. And when we talk about the history, actually, before I get to that, I also wanted to share, do any of you watch, I've been following her channel for a little bit here and there. I'm trying to, oh wait, okay. I wasn't going to do a clip on that, but I did share a link in the description of this video. That Surprise Witness. That's the name of the YouTube channel. She has decided she has a background in law, and she does deep dives into true crime, things like this. And she has found out about Scientology, and she is digging into it. Literally Surge here on YouTube has been on her channel twice. He was on again yesterday, and she's doing a full investigation into LAPD officer Tim Talman, who is the LAPD officer who was leading the charge to arrest Aaron Smith Levin falsely in Hollywood when he was there in town. At the behest of Scientology, we are all pretty sure, because we all watched that play out, multiple angles on multiple channels, and it's pretty awesome. It's pretty obvious what happened. KELLI COPTER, I got a link to her channel. KELLI COPTER is an ex-Scientologist. She has been doing an amazing job, but this girl's editing skills are incredible. I believe she's in the UK. I love her video. She's doing a couple things. I linked to a video she did she did a look back at previous protests of Scientology. And she really gets into, she shares the history of when Anonymous was protesting Scientology, how it came about, what happened, how Scientology chose to show up in that way, which is pretty much how they continue to show up. Because remember, they have one playbook, and it was written by L. Ron Hubbard, and they have to follow that. And it was written like in the 50s and 60s. It wasn't really relevant then or helpful, and it isn't today. L. Ron Hubbard said, never defend, always attack. You notice you don't see Scientology coming out and saying, hey, we're not a cult. Let me tell you why. No. What do they do instead? They try to weaponize the police. They have protesters harassed. All of these shenanigans, which is just adding fuel to the fire and proving the point. They are proving the point. That is the craziest thing in all this. You were literally out there being like, oh yeah, no, we're totally a cult. And yeah, we totally pay people to harass people who exercise their First Amendment right to protest Scientology. And so KELLI COPTER did a great video about the history of Anonymous and the history, some of that, what happened with that last round of protests. When I was leaving Scientology, that was going on. I thought it was really interesting. Plus, she's been doing these really fun parody videos, these singing videos about Scientology. That girl's so talented. We need to do a live stream together, because I have so many questions. One thing that we're talking about on this channel a lot, and we're going to continue to talk about, is the way that Scientology infiltrates legitimate organizations that are doing good in the community in an attempt to legitimize themselves. It's also an attempt to hijack those volunteers to then do volunteer work for Scientology or in the name of Scientology. And then Scientology does these press releases and takes credit for it. We're going to talk about that. I've got a link. We're going to look at a clip of a video. We are going to look at this, let me tell you. So Interestingly, this is in Ventura again. That earlier clip with the TikToker who was outside of Scientology, that was in Ventura. The clip I'm going to share with you is from the Ventura County Interfaith community and their introduction to Scientology. So, as I understand it, Scientology was like, hey, we want to join your organization. And they're like, okay, you need to come to this meeting. It looked like it was a Zoom, and then talk about Scientology. And the people on this interfaith community had a lot of questions. They had a lot of questions. I linked to the entire video, but I specifically want to call out one very specific part of it because it's such an example of how Scientology misrepresents themselves to other churches, to other nonprofits who are doing good out in the community, and then try to position themselves with those same nonprofits. Now, this is in addition to this is through their different front groups, the different Scientology front groups like the Way to Happiness, the Volunteer Ministers, the Citizens Commission on Human Rights. They've created even more. They've got offshoots of these front groups because I think they know we're all catching on to this, that they're a front group for Scientology. So they're kind of changing the name at times or joining legit organizations and then saying that, oh, we got this award, like Faith in Blue, which is a nationwide organization that brings together interfaith groups and police from all over the place. And they work together and they do street cleanups and different things. Scientology infiltrated that group and are now saying that they're tied to them. They did a press release in California saying that they were awarded an award by Faith in Blue. This was Scientology saying this. You know what they got? A nice photo. They had a photo. They were given an award for the photo that they took. Nothing they actually did. And we heard from Diane the other night when I was interviewing her here on my channel that that's the tactic. Scientology came into this interfaith organization, this other nonprofit that had people from all these different churches in the community, misrepresented themselves, were allowed in, and then never showed up to do any of the actual volunteering out in the community. All they were looking for were volunteers to take out of that group to then become volunteer ministers. And that's how our Diane from Ventura got swept up in it and then ended up getting all of these emails from Scientology as if she was a full-blown Scientologist. And I've seen some of these emails and probably I'm going to have to do a separate video just on those. But if you caught that video, she talked about how she received multiple emails from Scientology giving names, which hospital, and the medical condition of different people, asking Diane and others to give them Scientology assists. And assists are in Scientology are these techniques that they learn about and use that they think help people to heal quicker, heal sooner. It's called a Scientology assist. It's what the volunteer ministers that Scientology has are trained in doing. And as per usual, backfires. So they go and they send these emails saying like, hey, Diane, Joe over here is at this hospital and he has this medical condition and this is going on. They were so detailed. It was so cringe. I could not believe it. Who does that? Who does that? How many people did these emails go to? Sharing personal information about people, their medical conditions, which hospitals they're in, with these requests to do assists. Because you know what? You can request to, you could have put that out, Scientology, and been like, hey, we have some members or some people who need help, who are requesting help. Kind of like the way that people do prayer requests in other churches. It's not full of, oh, and they're at this hospital and here's the XYZ of their exact medical condition and then some. I mean, they're super detailed, super detailed. And we're totally going to expose those, not the names. We're not going to do what Scientology did, but the fact that they did it and they're doing it, because that needs to stop. That's something right now, Scientology. Come in close, Scientology. Just stop doing that. Betsy, over at your Los Angeles organization, has been sending out emails giving the names and medical conditions of multiple people, I'm assuming you're Scientologists, and sending it out to the masses. Very detailed private information. Knock it off. Super, super simple. Call her up. Betsy, girl, stop doing that. You're bringing unwanted attention to us. Oh my gosh. Okay, I kind of went on a rant there. Let me pull this up. Let me pull this up. So this, my friends, whoops. This is a clip from a meeting where Scientology was presenting themselves. Hey, we're a real church. We're an organization that helps people. And they're getting asked questions. This is towards the end. And I linked to this in the description. If you want to watch the whole thing, it's hilarious. It is, I watched it. I was so embarrassed for Scientology. The video that they shared about Scientology, the way these two women representing Scientology spoke about it. This is kind of well, I don't know if it's odd or what, but sometimes I find myself where, of course, I'm outraged in the ways that Scientology behaves and what they're doing. But sometimes Scientologists behave in a way that pisses me off as someone who was once in Scientology. Like, what are you doing on my best day? On my best day. As a, multi-generational family in Scientology, I would not have said that stuff. It's what are you doing? If Scientology is before people in organization like this, you think that they're going to put their best foot forward, right? They're going to put their best people forward with an explanation of what Scientology is. And because the first rule in Scientology is don't talk about Scientology. You will hear this over and over again. Scientologists will say, well, just read a book, read a book. Look, anytime a celebrity is asked about Scientology in the past, what is it? Read a book, find out for yourself, read a book. People are just asking you, what is Scientology? Why can you just not tell them? Read a book. They're pretty much reading from a book, almost word for word on some of this that they're saying in this video. But I want to head to the end because this made me mad. Ooh, made me mad, made my hands sweat. Because they're misrepresenting themselves and they're lying. So here we go. Hopefully you can hear all the audio. If not, I'll explain what happened.
To Arash's question, are there specific codes for sexuality limited to marriage? Are there codes addressing homosexuality?
Now, this is someone on the Ventura County Interfaith community. I'm assuming this is maybe some type of board or something. And there are two Scientologists, this one here and this one here. You can tell too by the uniforms and those big collars. And they're being asked specifically, what is your stance on homosexuality and same-sex marriage?
No, there's nothing addressing that. As far as sexual conduct, again, I go back to the way to happiness, which is one of the precepts is don't be promiscuous. So, sex is a powerful thing that can ruin lives when treated without care. And that's really what's promoted. There's nothing specifically saying you may not have sex with this person or that person, or you must.
That's a total lie. And we're going to get to that.
With this person, it's conduct yourself in such a way that dynamic doesn't collapse on you through inappropriate and destructive behavior, because it can be destructive.
Will the church conduct weddings between two people of the same gender?
I would imagine so. I've never been asked to so far, but yeah.
Bull. I'd like to see one. I would love to be proved wrong on this. L. Ron Hubbard is very clear. We know that in Scientology, you have to do everything L. Ron Hubbard says. Even the baby formula that he said parents should make out of barley with Karo syrup and some type of milk to feed to their babies, in lieu of, even over breastfeeding. They have to do everything he says to the letter. He's very clear in multiple books, multiple lectures. Science or Survival, the book Dianetics, the handbook for pre-clears. I could go on and on and on, right? I spent 35 years in Scientology. That is not true. L. Ron Hubbard refers to anybody practicing homosexuality, as they call it, as being a deviant, as being a criminal, as being someone who cannot be trusted. This is a belief in Scientology. When I was in the Sea organization, I remember, I can think of, this is just off the top of my head, okay? 3 different times where I was working when I was in the Sea organization. I was probably to this day the only person to join what's called the Estates organization. It's the lowest of the low. It's they're taking care of the buildings where people live, all that stuff. Great. I liked that group. They were hardworking and not so intense about Scientology. And that's where I started out. I'm like, I'm going to go there. I'm going to do a really good job, but I kind of want to start out low. And then unfortunately, I was promoted out of there. But when I was there working in the dining room, people in that organization I worked in, I was the only one that joined it. Like, hey, I'm going to join the Sea organization here. Everybody else was busted into it. You get in trouble in the Sea organization and you're busted into this lowest organization within the whole structure of the Sea organization. So 3 different times there were individuals who were Sea organization members sent to my dining room as punishment to do manual labor and work. Why? Why? Because they were gay. One kid, and he was just a kid, I think he was like maybe 16 at the time, 15, 16, acted out on it and did something consensual. Both of them got in trouble for it with another Sea organization member. And as they say in the Sea Org, they were practicing homosexuality. And he got in trouble for it. I saw this multiple times happen in the Sea organization. I saw multiple times as a public Scientologist, people wanting to bring their kids in, or even adult Scientologists who were trying to Scientology audit the gay away. And regardless of what your stance is on this topic, you should be outraged that the Church of Scientology is misrepresenting themselves about it. I would have had more respect for them if they'd have gone, nah, you know what? We're not down with that. We're not down with that. We consider it to be deviant behavior, blah, 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 whatever. Say what L. Ron Hubbard said, tell the truth. I would have respected that more. Completely disagree with it, and I think it's BS. But it would have been the truth. When you have to when you have to go out in Scientology and pretend that your actual beliefs and your doctrines are not what they are, that you have to misrepresent that. This is why you're a cult. Be honest about it. Maria's bringing up Catherine Bell. That's the name of one exception. Yes, Catherine Bell is an actress, and I don't know if she's married to a woman or has a female partner. Somehow, we don't know what's happening behind the scenes, but she is known as a Scientologist, but also known as a Scientologist who's also a lesbian. I'm suspect about that because I've never seen in my time, my 35 years in Scientology, 3 generations of my family, and even after, them be supportive of anyone in the LGBTQ community. People were punished. Manual labor, interrogations. There's reports after this about it. And so to see them on there with this interfaith community in Ventura, trying to infiltrate with these lies, it just angers me. I don't know if that was the gist. Let's just see a little bit more.
There's nothing that says they can't.
Mm-hmm.
So unless we have any more questions, I think.
Okay, good.
That's all you got?
All right. The video is linked below. You can see the whole thing. It's super cringe in the beginning where they share, they share about Scientology in the most culty way possible. And I got to tell you this too. In Scientology, one thing that's a consistent and that I knew and learned, you never give people words that they don't understand, especially in regard to Scientology. You wouldn't use a bunch of Scientologies, if you will, with people who are not in Scientology because it doesn't make any sense and they don't know what it is. And in this video, they actually do that. And a few of the board members kind of call them out on it. And they're like, well, wait a minute. You said this. What is that? And then they go on to explain it in a very bumbling way. It's just too much. It's too much. All right, MLR 77. Can people call the organization and expose their front groups? What would be considered a form of protesting? Here's my thought on that, because I have been thinking about this. I think it's, and this is something I'm going to share more about on the channel, so you'll know exactly what the front groups are, who they're trying to position themselves with. All you got to do is go to Scientology.org or Scientology TV. They list out their front groups, the main ones. They have other ones that are offshoots, because people catch on. Oh, wait a minute, the Way to Happiness, that's Scientology. And so they come up with other names, but they're all on there. And think about Faith in Blue. Reach out to them and go, hey, I don't know if you know this or not, but are you familiar with the Church of Scientology and the abuses that are being exposed? Here is what's happening. And they're running all over California claiming to be buddy-buddy with you, and they work with you, and that you even gave them an award. So they're using the name of this organization that's done some good work to legitimize, let's be honest, their criminal activity and cover it up. Scientology has a front group called the Citizens Commission on Human Rights, who claim to use the International Declaration of Human Rights, which they didn't write. But it's all of these things like, there should be no slave labor, all of these human rights. And Scientology goes around holding that up as this example, while in the back, what are they doing? Violating human rights, violating civil rights, over and over and over again. If you had heard this about the sex and had protests, wouldn't you get punished? If you had heard this about the sex and had, so like if you protested their views on homosexuality or punishing people for being gay, yeah, you would get in trouble for that. In the Sea organization, it's something that Scientologists know this. Now, I will say this. I did know Scientologists, especially toward the end when I was leaving, who were supportive of the LGBTQ community, despite what L. Ron Hubbard was saying. And those tended to be the ones, certain parishioners who kind of had one foot out the door. If not, they were pointed that way, pointed towards the door, maybe not fully leaving yet, because they had family members. Case in point, director Paul Haggis. Paul Haggis was in the news in a huge way when he left Scientology, because he wrote this whole letter about it. And in large part, it was because his daughter's gay, and Scientology didn't have his back on it, was actually supporting legislation that wouldn't support that. And he asked for an official statement, and you get the same thing. Scientology was out there making all these statements like, no, we're cool with this. We're cool with this. And they're not. They aren't. They punish their members for it. And he called them out on it. There's so many examples. So many examples. Teddy Billman, how dare anyone claim Travolta is gay just because he tap dances? That's not why people think that. I know you're joking. I think we all know that. There's a lot behind that one. My hope, this is my opinion and my personal thoughts here. I hope that he comes out one day and frees himself from Scientology. I don't understand that. I understood like when his wife was alive, or like Kirstie Alley was one of his very good friends, and they've both since passed. Also, Lisa Marie Presley was a very close friend of his, and she left Scientology. And as I understand it, they were still hanging. So, I would love to see him speak out about it, or at least be public about distancing himself from it. If that's what he's doing, I'd love to see that. I really would. Make sure y'all hit the subscribe button and hit that like button. Really appreciate it. Me and Taz. Natalie, how good of a dancer is Tony? Is he better than JT? So Tony is my partner of 10 years. He's here in the chat. He's one of the moderators as well. He's actually really good. He's definitely a better dancer than me, Tony is. And I can tell you, I know for sure he is. I've been pulled over 2 times while driving, okay, for what came to be distracted driving. Do you want to know why? Because I was dancing in the car. Something I've stopped doing. Or when I feel a song, if anything from the 80s, if Salt and Pepper or something like that come on, like that's my jam. I just got to bust a move. I'm a child of the 80s. And it got me pulled over 2 times. And both times, I think the police officer was so embarrassed for me. The first one told me that, what did he say? He said, I thought you were having a medical emergency. Yeah. Kind of really put a damper in my dancing. I still do it. Not in the car, though. Not in the car. So, yes, Tony is a much better dancer than me. 100% he is. Better than John Travolta? I don't know. Tony would tell you yes. He would say that he is. But we'll find out. Maybe once we hit 10,000 subscribers, Tony's going to join me for a live. Maybe we make him dance or ask, right? And then you can be the judge for yourself there. All right, let me just double check here. Did I share all my clips? Yes, I did. You know what? I don't know if you guys know this. L. Ron Hubbard's son, Quentin, was said to be gay. In fact, multiple people I feel very comfortable saying that he was. And unfortunately, he apparently unalived himself back in the day. And this is one of L. Ron Hubbard's sons. His name was Quentin Hubbard. And I have heard from multiple whistleblowers who were around at the time said that many measures were taken to try and make Quentin not gay. And Quentin ended up apparently unaliving himself. And I only say apparently because it was a suspicious death. There's more to that on the internet. Like, did he really? Did he? Or was he such an embarrassment to his father? I don't know. I honestly don't know. But I've seen and heard some things that make me go, not as clear cut as we might think. Yep, and empty case. And Hubbard lied even about the circumstances of Quentin's death. Yes, that was one of the big secrets in Scientology too. One of many. Elizabeth, oh my God, I do the car dancing all the time. Maybe I need to rethink it. Child of the 80s as well. Yes. Or maybe only do it at a stoplight. I don't know what I was doing, but one time it's like, okay, fine. One time, right? Don't do it again. But to be pulled over 2 times, I did not get a ticket either time. And I think it's because they were so embarrassed for me, and I'll take it. I'm like, I'm good with that. I am good with that. Now, again, if you have any questions, throw a question in front of that. We're going to go through a couple more things, but I want to kind of do Sassafras 0808. How do you send private messages to YouTube channels? I'm sorry, I'm a Gen X, not too familiar. I started a channel at Sense of Sassafras. I don't know. I don't know if you can. My email, if you want to reach me, is natalie@tonkatalk.com. It's in my bio on my channel as well. Yeah, if somebody knows or figures it out, let me know in the chat or in the comments. You guys are so funny. Susan Jacobson, Declaration of Human Rights is a United Nations document. Yes, you are correct. And it was something that the Church of Scientology has tried to hijack and promote as something that they actually support, when behind the scenes, they're committing some of the worst human rights abuses I've ever seen. So it's like really, really rich there, Scientology. Way to show up as culty as you possibly can again. And you notice too how anytime if the protesters call the police, like happened when Aaron from Growing Up in Scientology was arrested last Friday, they either take forever to come or come and then don't really do anything for hours, for a length of time. But when Scientology calls the police, boom, they're there, sometimes weapons drawn, with those cuffs just whipped out and ready to go. And this is what got William Good of Scientology Audit Streets LA stumbled upon Scientology. He was doing a lot to expose the corruption and abuses in the LAPD, and then found out that they're actually in bed with Scientology. You know what I also want to share with you? Scooby-Doo's asking, do you think Guy Fawkes mob may come back to help bring down the Church of Scientology again? So Anonymous was a group who wore those masks and was protesting Scientology? I don't know, but they don't even need the masks now. That's the thing too. The protesters today are, you know who they are because they're live streaming on the internet. Yep, Jody Walters, I'm with you. One of the things that really pissed me off is their billion-year contract and what they're doing to children. All C organization members signed that billion-year contract. I'm delinquent on mine. I only got, I don't know, several years in on that contract. And if I haven't already told you Scientology, I'm not coming back. Their motto is, we come back, because you're supposed to come back lifetime after lifetime to work for Scientology for free. I'm not coming back. I would not hold your breath. Let's take a look. So I'm in the Twin Cities and I got curious. What do people think about Scientology in the Twin Cities? Right? You know, I love a good Google review. You know, I love it. I found some. Let's take a look. So these are the Google reviews for the Church of Scientology Twin Cities. Here's one from Gavin Martin. Oh, this one's just a couple days ago. This is interesting. 1 star. They can show you a nice face and nice atmosphere, but it does not hide what Scientology is and has done for the past 50 years in this country. They'll make you feel warm at first. That's the love bombing part of the cult, by the way. Then everything is wrong with you and can only be fixed with their teachings. They slowly find new ways to extract money from you. They will push you away from anyone with conflicting beliefs with theirs. True. You could call this a cult, but most cults I know aren't tax exempt. They got tax exempt through breaking the law also. Organization has been in the news for human trafficking, slave labor, and harassing members who try to detach from their church. Don't be played by Scientology and stay away. Here's another one 3 weeks ago, and this is from the Church of Scientology Twin Cities, which would be my local organization. Brock Hoagland, let's see what you got to say here. Place is nothing but a joke. IRS needs to revoke their tax exemption. Place is just a cult that takes your life away. I'd agree. Jessica Patnode. I am ashamed this place exists. They do absolutely nothing for St. Paul, Minnesota, the U.S., or the world, but bring lies, deceit, and rob people of everything and anything. Look at that. 22 likes to 12 thumbs ups on that one. Here's one from 3 years ago. Maybe it gets better, right? Because the recent protests have been bringing a lot of attention to Scientology. So maybe, does it get better? No, it doesn't. 1 star 3 years ago. After being dissatisfied with the service, I asked for my money's worth back and sent in all their stuff into them and they did not refund me my money, but instead they had credited it to their place. I'm very displeased that they did not refund me my money. Yet they have called me multiple times to harass me and make me come back. After I told them, no, I quit and it's not what I wanted to continue doing. The level of harassment is insane and intense. I feel that I should be respected and not be harassed. That's true. And this is totally true. So this person asked for their money back, and what Scientology will sometimes do. Let's say you did some Scientology auditing or a course and it was $1,000 and you're like, no. I want my money back. That was ridiculous. I didn't finish. You guys are a cult. They will credit that money back onto your account in Scientology so you could use it for books or other services. The rare times that you actually get your money back is when you actually did not use the services. And I know of Scientologists who've gotten quite a bit of money back from Scientology. Quite a bit, actually. This is interesting that they did it like this. Here's another one. Visited here thinking I'd be able to learn about the religion for free. But unlike other religions, I was told everything besides a stupid personality test isn't free but costs money. When I asked if a belief in space aliens was part of their religion, I was asked to leave. Sad money-grabbing cult. Avoid. That's hilarious to me because it is not just the upper. Okay, so in the upper levels of Scientology, that's the only time you find out about Xenu and body thetans. It is not the only time you find out about aliens or people from other planets. L. Ron Hubbard openly talks about this on multiple lectures and books. So that's a legit question. When you ask about a belief in space aliens, is it part of the religion? It is, to the degree that L. Ron Hubbard talked about it and used it as examples of what could possibly be past life memories on other planets with other species. It is a belief. It is part of it. He talks about it in the lectures. Most Scientologists don't know about body thetans, which are what L. Ron Hubbard said are the souls of people taken from other planets by the galactic overlord Xenu because of overpopulation, frozen, dropped into volcanoes on Earth, and blown up with hydrogen bombs. Then the spirit of those people, their souls attached to humans, hence body thetans. In Scientology, they believe you're a thetan, I'm a thetan, he's a thetan. Wouldn't you like to be a thetan? Those are regular thetans. Body thetans are the ones attached that apparently cause all our problems. So if you're having a hard time, just blame it on those body thetans. I do. When I get those menopause hot flashes, I'm like, oh, the body thetans, they're getting hot, they're acting up. You can do that. But L. Ron Hubbard openly talks about in non-confidential materials about aliens and people on other planets and past lives of flying spaceships and things like that. So it's totally part of it. It's a legitimate part of it, yet they don't want to talk about that. They don't want to talk about that. So here's one from 2 days ago. It's a cult, simple as that. A year ago, try to stay away from this place. They don't care what you're going through. They just want to sell something. That's a year ago, 6 years ago. There's a strange odor near the front door. Also, they keep asking for money when you walk by. I'd recommend using money to back up real technological advances. That's interesting. That is interesting. So there's our Google Scientology reviews for today as well. But you get the idea. So Mike is asking, how did he get this cult off the ground with such stupid stories? Well, he didn't start with those. He didn't open with that. In Scientology, in the beginning, in the lower level courses, there are things that can be helpful because they're not Scientology. They're not unique to Scientology. They're universal truths that you can find other places, other philosophies. You could discover these things for yourself in therapy. Other books. That's why there's so many books and other organizations that are banned in Scientology that Scientologists aren't allowed to study. So you start off with those and you're like, ooh, this actually makes sense. I'm jiving with this, right? And you end up thinking, oh, what else do they have? This is great because this particular part helped me. And you're always trying to chase that high of that thing that helped you, that you found value in. But the further you get in, the more abstract these ideas become, and then the control starts to set in, and they trap you in this mentality where you're kept in fight or flight, thinking that I need to keep Scientology happy because they hold the key to my eternal spiritual survival. I don't want to upset them. I don't want to be declared a suppressive person because they have you convinced that your eternal, immortal salvation depends on what you do in Scientology here, today, and now. And that's why they justify a lot of these behaviors. See? You see how that all comes together? How they really got the culty sauce. They really bring it. I guess you got to give them props for that. Travel NC2, do Scientologists celebrate Hubbard's death day? Today, the squad was wondering last night. No, they don't. They celebrate L. Ron Hubbard's birthday, the anniversary of Dianetics, Auditor's Day, New Year's, some other stuff, but not that day. And I think it just passed. It might have been, I don't even know what today is. It was in January 1986 that L. Ron Hubbard, as Scientology says, dropped the body, causatively made the decision to drop the body as if he was dropping a dress on the floor, and that was it to it. That was it. Of course, that's not the truth of what happened. And now he's off at Target 2, which I guess is some other planet, setting up for Scientology. That's why he hasn't come back. That's the narrative that Scientology tells their members, because you're like, wait a minute. I signed a $1 billion contract to come back lifetime after lifetime. How come L. Ron Hubbard's not back? I thought he was supposed to come back. No, man. He's on Target 2. He's moved on to bigger and better. He's setting up the cult over there. Maria is asking, how can I become a better SP, a better suppressive person? Keep getting the word out. Sticking with it. There's so much factual information out there about the abuses in Scientology, address your local government leaders, your leaders in Congress, ask them where they stand on a hearing looking into Scientology and their tax-exempt status. Zelke, Aaron said WISE, and WISE is a Scientology front group. What does that stand for? The World Institute of Scientology Enterprises. Has Scientology in the name, and they don't call that out. They're all like, oh, no. We're not part of the Church of Scientology. We're just using L. Ron Hubbard's administrative technology. We just want to come into your office and implement those things and then force your employees to take Scientology courses. Sure, it's illegal, but hey, don't you want to expand? Your survival depends on it. Ridiculous. All right. This topic of Scientology front groups, I keep saying it, we're touching on it more, and I'm working on a few things right now where we're really going to get into it. I'm going to be sharing some of those emails that have been leaked where they're leaking, and we're not going to leak people's personal information. But as an example of this is what Scientology is doing and sharing, these people are in the hospital, here's their names, here's their medical conditions and all that. Jojo says L. Ron died on the 24th of January, 1986. Oh, okay. What is today? Oh, today? Interesting. Today's the 24th. Well, there you go. How poetic is this? Taddy Bowman, I think the aftermath persons are still a bit scared of direct action protests as if it will reflect poorly upon them. It has been crickets, though. I agree. I missed the earlier part of that conversation, so I'll have to catch up on that. When I lived in LA in the 1990s, everyone seemed to think Scientology and Christian Science were the same thing. Christian Science an offshoot of Scientology, or did the two cults join and get confused? I think it's just the name. I've experienced that too. Even when I was in Scientology, they'd be like, "Oh yeah, there was an office here where I lived," and I'm like, "No, there's never been a Scientology office there." And turns out it was a Christian Science place. I think people confuse it because Christian Science and Scientology, because L. Ron Hubbard says that Dianetics is a science of the mind, a science. So Christian Science, Scientology, I get the confusion. I totally get the confusion. How that would be, how people would think that. But no, it is not the same thing. Not at all. And yeah, Michelle, HIPAA violation. Is it a HIPAA violation if you're not the medical facility and you're exposing it? Maybe somebody can tell me. Maybe somebody knows about that. If you're in the chat or the comments, if you are sharing personal medical information about people, is it still a violation of HIPAA if you're not in the medical field? You know what I'm saying? We know it's wrong. We still know it's not okay. But do HIPAA rules apply to people? Would they apply to Scientology in this situation? I don't know, but I would like to know. Make sure y'all subscribe too. Subscribe. Okay, so this person's saying no, only for medical professionals. Okay, that makes sense. Not to say it's not a violation of something else beyond just human decency and privacy. What if one of these people were in the hospital with a serious condition and maybe they had friends and family who didn't know? Diane, who was getting these emails, was not a Scientologist. So she's getting all this information. What if they sent it to people who happened to work with these people who didn't want it known, maybe that they had cancer because they were worried about being able to do their job or losing their job because of it. And now these emails go out to all these people and they find out about their personal medical situations that way. It has repercussions that could be endless. So beyond HIPAA, there's multiple reasons why these are not okay. Mark Murphy, cops are shaving their heads for Talman, apparently. Really? I'm going to need to know that. Going to need to see that. Liz Ferris, if any work in any work area, if they expose HIPAA or business expose, it's a HIPAA violation. Interesting. Okay. And you can find, you guys probably already know, you can find Liz Ferris here on YouTube. That's interesting. Mazo, exactly. What if it was sent to someone who wanted to hurt one of these people? This is a massive violation. It should be illegal. Yeah. People should be up in arms about it. Absolutely up in arms about it. They should be. They absolutely should be. It's ridiculous. And we're going to talk more about that. We're going to talk more about that later. So here's your homework. Reach out to your people in Congress, your representatives, and ask them, where do you stand on a hearing to look into the tax-exempt status of Scientology? Ask your local elected officials if you live near where Scientology has organizations, right? Find out. Reach out to some of these groups that they're connecting. The Faith in Blue is one of them. Do you know that Scientology is putting out press releases saying that you've given them an award? But when you read the small print, it's an award for taking the best picture. That's like a participation ribbon or medal. I'm Gen X, so we ain't about that. You got to win or at least place if you get a medal or a ribbon. Maybe not anymore, though. Those are the kind of things where I question and I go, okay, I know that that's how we grew up and that's what we thought, but is it still right? I don't know. Because I'm so much more open now to, I want to question these things. I don't know. Just because I believe that growing up doesn't mean it's still right and applicable today. I wonder about it and I want to know. I'm curious. Mazo, wait, Scientology claims to be healthcare since they cure people of drugs. Couldn't the HIPAA rules apply? I don't know, but that is a good point, actually. They do. Even okay, in that video clip I shared with you from the Ventura Interfaith community, in that video, they outright say that we believe that the spirit and the spirit alone can heal the body. So what are you talking about there? Favorite Aunt Deedlee. Natalie's so fired up she's dishing out homework. Yeah. I know, listen to me. So true. I got really upset about this whole thing with the infiltration, with their front groups infiltrating legitimate organizations. This is why Diane came out and said, hey, I'm Diane. I'm the person who leaked the emails. And if one of the mods could put her page up, you guys want to go follow her. And I'm having a total brain fart right now on what it was called, but it's Diane's page and you want to follow her because it's a great way to support her. It's like a travel channel, but she's also going to be traveling around different Scientology organizations with her husband and doing their own Scientology audit there. Okay. So Liz is saying I have to read the new HIPAA laws every year. Yep. You would know then. Liz, maybe you have some guidance on maybe some other action that we could take or something. In fact, I would love to connect, Liz. Can you email me at natalie@tonkatalk.com, TONKA talk.com, and shoot me your number if you wouldn't mind? I'd love to hop on a call and talk this through. Plus, I want to meet you, or at least on the phone. I've been working on reaching out to the different SPTV creators because I've not met a lot of them, to just say hi. Oh, there. This is Diane's channel and this is Diane. More fun than sitting at home. Go to More Fun Than Sitting at Home and follow that lady, because what she's doing in exposing this and sharing it is super brave. And if that's a way that we can help her out and support her as well, I think we should do that. Mark, HIPAA, hooray. That's so funny. You guys crack me up. All right. We are getting short on time here. You know what your homework is. I'm going to be back. We'll see. Maybe later on today. For sure, you can catch me Monday through Friday, 7:30 a.m. Central Time here in the U.S., Saturday and Sunday, 9 a.m. Central Time. Those you can count on. I'll be doing additional videos on top of that with interviews or jumping in on certain things. So when you subscribe, make sure you set that notification bell to all so that when it does work, that you'll get a notification on when I'm going live and you have an opportunity to jump in there and let me know your thoughts on stuff. But I want to hear from you. If you're catching this on the replay, tell me in the comments what you think. I'm dying to know, especially about this whole thing with the front groups. Have you run into Scientology front groups? I want to know. You can go ahead and email me your story and those connections too. What happened? Did Scientology infiltrate your workplace through an employer, through one of their front groups? What happened? Let's get into it and talk about it and expose it more and more and more. But in the meantime, get out there today and have the most amazing cult-free day.